I go to a big university in Arizona. A few nights ago, my friends and I were passing around a bottle of Jack when our talk turned to creepy stories. It turned out each of us had something strange to share. Gabriel, for example, told us about an eerie apartment he and his mom lived in back in West Virginia. One night, his mom woke up screaming after seeing a dark figure hovering over her bed. Gabriel ran in, only to watch it dissolve into nothing. They moved out soon after. John told us about a bizarre deer he encountered while hunting, and I shared a story about strange noises I used to hear outside my parents' house in Montana as a kid. One of my dad's friends, who was some kind of zoologist, said it didn't sound like any animal he knew of, I said. Dad jokingly asked if it could be Bigfoot, and the guy just got real quiet and said he wouldn't be caught dead in those woods after dark. We didn't camp there, but after that, we made sure not to go past the property line. I passed the bottle to Samuel, who surprised us by taking a sip. Sam, who was usually our designated driver, rarely touched alcohol. He'd been living in the dorms since I got to college, now in his third year studying engineering. Sam grew up in a rural town in Mexico, and he always credited his uncle, a professor in Spanish studies, for helping him get a student visa and escape what he called a future of shitty beer and dead-end jobs. Sam took a breath before beginning in a hollow voice, "I've told you all that I grew up in Mexico?" We nodded, and he continued, "I was raised in a small town outside Hermosillo. My family worked on a ranch there, my grandfather was a horse breeder, and we didn't have much, but it wasn't a bad life. My friends and I would go to parties at local farms. My best friends were Santiago, the rancher's son, and some others, Juan, Christopher, and Mateo. One night, though, we encountered something none of us had ever truly believed in. My mother used to scare me with tales of Lechuza, a witch who became an owl demon after death, hunting drunkards or kids out late. By my teens, I thought I'd outgrown the stories and was more interested in parties and meeting girls. One night, my mom stopped me at the door. She warned, if Lechuza finds you, she won't spare you. I brushed it off and left with Santiago. That night, we went to a barn party, and by the time we left, I was drunk and didn't remember much about the party. We piled into Santiago's car, laughing and joking as we headed home. Then, out of nowhere, Santiago swerved to avoid what he thought was an old lady in the road. When she turned, her body looked wrong. Then I saw her too, a hunched figure in a cloak with eyes that burned red. We plowed into her at 55 miles per hour, but the car stopped dead as if we'd hit a tree. I came to with a gash on my forehead, and Santiago was dead, having hit the windshield. As I stumbled out, I remembered the old woman and checked the ditches, but she was gone. Then I saw it, a huge shadow flying over us, its wingspan like a condor's. It dropped down on Juan, crushing him. The thing, a massive, blood-streaked owl, looked up, its red eyes boring into mine. I ran, and though I was drunk, I just kept running until I saw headlights. My mom had come for me. She shouted at the creature, waving across, and it took off. I passed out in the car and woke up in my bed, and my mom told me everything the next morning. She explained that this creature was the same one that killed my father years ago. Since that night, I've never touched alcohol. Instead, I drive others home. I felt like I was stealing prey from Lechuza, but I didn't care. As he finished his story, a chill settled over us. 3 weeks ago, Sam came to me, visibly shaken, and said his mother was going to die. He had dreamt of her crying in her house, and when he reached out, her hand transformed into a claw, and her face became that of the owl witch, screaming his mother's name. According to legend, seeing Lechuza in a dream meant someone close would die. A few days later, his mother passed away from a heart attack. Sam left for her funeral, and I promised to care for his plants while he was gone. Weeks went by, and when I asked his uncle for news, he said no one had seen Sam. They feared he'd returned to the house where he last saw his mother. To this day, I don't know where Sam is, but I pray the owl witch, Lechuza, didn't come for him. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like this video, leave a comment, and hit the subscribe button for more content.